afterglow that is super powerful. It just bonds you. It is the Velcro that actually happens in the sexual relationship, is the afterglow. No wonder we spend such little time in it. No wonder I don't know, we just don't feel it in casual sex, or it keeps people wanting more, or the allure of pornography and how it's so unfulfilling. There is no afterglow, right? That vasopressin has nothing to kind of attach itself to say, I want to be with you, right? Because you was just an image, or you was just a thought instead of a person. So chemically speaking, so important you spend time in the afterglow because of what it will do for your relationship. Mentally speaking, we are so very vulnerable at this point, right? Especially if it didn't go the way we planned on. But even if it did, you're sitting there and you're wondering. You already have a self-evaluation going on. How was that? What was that like for them? What are they thinking right now? All those kinds of questions. What do they think of me? Did they like, I tried something new. Did they like that? Or whatever it is, we want the feedback, right? We're kind of sitting there like, hey, how was that? You tell me. And so we're so vulnerable in that moment to being built up or being torn down. So we have to be very careful with the words that we choose in the midst of the afterglow. This is not a time for any kind of constructive criticism for your spouse. This ain't it. You can have constructive criticism. That's okay. We can talk about the things that didn't go well in our sexual experiences, but not now.
Right. That's on the couch, in the living room.
With your clothes on. The next day.
Right.
At least the next day. Because that could be so very damaging, right? Things are going to not go well, or it's not going to be a positive experience sometimes. But this is not on the table for conversation during the afterglow. Save that for another time. Right. I think most importantly, because though this seems like the end of the cycle, this is where the next one starts. This is where atmosphere actually starts the next time. Right. How did it go last time? Well, he told me it sucked, or she wasn't in it at all, or whatever. Well, that's what I'm thinking about, right? Like, my brain goes straight back. I'm trying to create atmosphere for this next time, and my brain goes to here to even start the cycle again. Right. So, wow, I should be spending a lot of time in the afterglow knowing the impact it's going to have, not just right now, which is already huge, but the impact it's going to have for the next time. It's so valuable.
And that doesn't have to be this, let's all talk romantic, and it just has to be that we're on the same page. We're in a vulnerable state together. It's probably the most vulnerable place most people are in their relationship. And so it doesn't necessarily have to have this like high, ooey feeling to it. It's just a comfortableness. Some people, it's go jump up and we go clean up, get out of here, and move on.
Yep.
If that's you, if it's uncomfortable, my suggestion is try to stay there for a few moments. Stay in the moment, just for a few moments. If it's just 1 minute, if it's 30 seconds, and allow yourself to experience that. What does that feel like? Is it okay? And if your partner doesn't know that that's you, that you're struggling with that, tell them. Tell them and let them know this is a struggle for me, and I want it to be good, but I need to be able to breathe, and I need to know you're going to be here for me.
Yeah.
And that you're aware of that as the partner to engage in that.
Again, just to stress that this is important when it goes well, probably even more important when it doesn't.
Yeah.
Because it is in our pain, it is in our suffering, it is in our feelings of rejection or self-critique that we bond with other people. When you can reach back to me and say, it's okay.
Right.
We're going to be okay. It's okay that didn't.
That's right. We're going to be okay.
So comforting, so assuring, again, for the next time. In the moment, but then for the next time also.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So this cycle makes a lot more sense, I think, than the previous two. You know what I mean? Those ones that we looked at the beginning. Like, I can get this. You know what I mean? These 4 circles. So, but at the beginning, we said that sex was worship, right? That was designed as a finger to point me to the one who gives, points me to the one who gets the ultimate glory, is God, right? And so, in understanding those 4 different quadrants that we just went through, I want to draw the parallels between those things that we experienced in that circle, and that process, and that cycle, and how does that relate to worship? Okay, So sex is worship. Let's look at these two verses. I will just read them to you guys, but again, you can feel free to look them up. Okay, so I'm in the atmosphere quadrant, right? The atmosphere quadrant of worship. So Mark 1:35 says, "And rising very early in the morning, while it was still dark, he departed and went out to a desolate place, and there he prayed." And speaking of Jesus, right? So time. Jesus made sure time was of the priority. There was nothing more important for him in that morning than spending time with the one who meant the most for him. He carved it out of his day, right? Knowing how important it was. That second verse of Matthew speaks of Jesus again, and it says, "Immediately he made the disciples get into the boat and go before him to the other side, while he dismissed the crowds. And after he had dismissed the crowds, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray." Disciples, off you go. People, love you, off you go. I am going to go spend time with the one who matters the most to me. I think I need to remember, too, I need to put this in some kind of context to grasp the gravity of this. Jesus got 3.5 years with these disciples, right? And he was trying to make them into the ones who were going to go and spread the gospel to the entire world, setting the stage from that point forward for all of Christianity. 3.5 years he got to do that. It took me more time to get my bachelor's than that. You know what I mean? And so I still feel inadequate after the bachelor's. 3.5 years. And you know what he said? "I know my time is limited with you, but this is more important." Right? I'm like, oh, I got 18 years with my kids. I should be spending every moment with them. Jesus had 3.5. You know what I mean? I only got 2 hours left in my day, and so I should be doing this. I got to set aside the time. You know, and obviously there's this built-in anticipation too, right? He knew what he was doing. When he sent the disciples off to go ahead of him, when he dismissed the crowds, there's an anticipation building within Jesus to come before the one who is the one to receive the ultimate glory. And so Jesus even sets the scene up for himself with atmosphere when it comes to worship. Okay, what about arousal? So you guys think like arousal in the Bible? Like what? Aside from the ivory necks and the boobs falling off a mountain? What was it? I don't know. Something about them falling off a hillside?
Fawns
Fawn.
on the side of a hill.
I heard falling off the side of a hill.
Fawn.
You know, you lay down sometimes and it all just kind of goes to the side. That's what I thought. Maybe I was reading the Message version. Sometimes it's not as, I don't know. Yeah. Okay, my bad for misunderstanding.
Maybe, but not that much.
Okay. So, arousal. Psalm 119. David just says, he says such beautiful words. He says, "With my whole heart I seek you. Let me not wander from your commandments. I've stored up your word in my heart that I might not sin against you. Blessed are you, O Lord. Teach me your statutes." This mutual exploration, right, that we talked about in arousal. Teach me about you. Like, I want to know you. I want you to know me, but I want to know you more. And so David is so enthralled in this arousal with the Lord. It says, "With my lips I declare all your rules of your mouth. In the way of your testimonies I delight." And so when he hears from God, you know, and the time and the experience that he has with him, it delights him, right? It arouses him. It excites him. It gets him ready for this moment of worship with God. He says, "I will meditate on your precepts." Talk about being in the moment, right? Meditation, mindfulness. I will meditate on them. I will be in the moment with the things that you tell me, with what you relate to me and how I'm relating to you. I will be in this moment with you. I will delight in your statutes and I will not forget your words. Psalms 139, 2-6 says, "I'm an open book to you." Right? Again, just this vulnerability that happens in arousal, the willingness for you to explore me and me explore you. David says, "I'm an open book to you. Even from a distance, you know what I'm thinking. You're so dialed into me. I'm trying to dial into you, but you are already so dialed into me. Like, you already know what I'm thinking, even from a distance. You know when I leave and when I get back, I am never out of your sight." A true arousal takes an immense amount of safety. Right? And David feels so safe in the presence of God. You know everything I'm going to say before I even start my first sentence. I look behind me and you're there. Then up ahead and you're there too. Your reassuring presence. Man, that lets me get in a state of arousal. Your reassuring presence. You're coming and going. This is too much. It's too wonderful. I can't even take it all in. Such an awareness of his senses, right? So exactly what we're asking you to do when you're in the stage of arousal is to be so aware of your senses, what's going on in the moment. And David was there, right? He's in it with him, and you can see how he's responding to that with such a pleasure towards the Lord. All right, so the apex. You're like, all right, arousal in the Bible. Tell me about orgasm in the Bible. Like, are you serious? Or oneness. That's the big O. Anyways.
The big O is oneness.
So Psalms 131 says, bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me, bless his name. And I think that is so important with the oneness aspect, right? All that is within me. All that is within me is with you right now. As I speak to you, as I share this time with you, God, as I share this time with my spouse, you can just see these parallels. All that is within me. Because I'm either focusing on the pleasure or I'm focusing on the pressure. But with all that's within me, I'm focusing on you and the pleasure that you're giving me. And I love that, all of it. Verse 5, it says, and who satisfies you with good so that your youth is renewed like the eagles? Sometimes, amen, right? Like after an orgasm, like your youth is renewed like the eagles. Who doesn't feel amazing, right? And so that God can give that same feeling to me. When I spend this time with you, my youth is renewed as though I'm flying like an eagle. So that's not just possible with my spouse or my partner. It's possible in my relationship with God.
Right.
It's fascinating. And I love in 2 Samuel, too, there's a story of David returning the ark, right? It got stolen from them, and it is coming back. And they are so excited that the Ark of the Covenant is coming back to where it's supposed to be. And he says in 2 Samuel 16, so then David danced before the Lord with all of his might. And David was wearing a linen ephod. So David and all the house of Israel brought up the ark of the Lord with shouting and with the sound of the horn. So all that he has, he's shouting, he's in the moment, he's so excited that this is coming. And talk about anticipation, right? Like getting this Ark of the Covenant back, that was such a long process to make happen, and this reconquering of people and all that. But it said David returned home to bless his family, and Michal, Saul's daughter, came out to greet him. It says, how wonderfully the king has distinguished himself today, exposing himself to the eyes of the servant maids like some burlesque street dancer. This is the Message version, so I like the way they said that. So she's mocking David for how he just lost himself in public. They're marching this ark in, right? And he is so enthralled with the presence of God and how exciting it is to be doing what he's doing with them. He's dancing literally like a fool. And so here comes Saul's daughter to kind of rub that in his face. Like, you look like an idiot right now. And I've seen some of these faces during orgasm, and you know we look like idiots sometimes, right? But he's like, I don't care. Like, I'm so in this moment with God right now. I don't care what my face looks like. And David replied to her, in God's presence, I'll dance all I want. He chose me. He's rubbing it in right now. He chose me over your father and the rest of your family and made me prince over God's people, over Israel. Oh yes, I will dance to God's glory even more recklessly than this. I love that. He just loses himself, and he doesn't care. People are watching, but he's so in it with God that he just loses it all. And that is that loss of control is so essential in orgasm, right? That loss of control is so essential in this apex, that I'm so safe with you, I'm so dialed into you, you're so dialed into me, that I don't need to be safe right now. I don't need to be presentable to you. I don't need to be anything but in this with you. And that we can do that with God is incredible, right? I'm getting excited and lost my spot. And as far as I'm concerned, I love this too. It says, I will gladly look like a fool. Right? I will gladly look like a fool as far as I'm concerned. With the afterglow, Isaiah 25, it says, O Lord, you are my God, and I will exalt you. I will praise your name, for you have done wonderful things. This remembrance, right? This giving God the glory for the things that he's done, this experience that he's just had with him. You've done wonderful things, plans formed of old, faithful and sure. And this story in Isaiah, the context of it is from being conquered and then being restored, Israel being restored again, right? And he says, you're just so faithful and you've done so many good things. And it's just so nice to sit in the afterglow of what you've done for us and how that just rests my soul.
And I think that's really helpful in a relationship too. I mean, having that moment, just those little moments of being able to say, aha, we're in this together.
Yeah.
We really can rest and feel safe with each other. And there's such power with that. That is such a predictor of how relationships go. Is that if you are in this together and that both partners experience that. So it just can't be emphasized enough that we spend even just a few moments in that afterglow effect.
Absolutely. And then finally in Psalm 63, David says, "Oh God, you are my God. Earnestly I seek you. My soul thirsts for you. My flesh faints for you, as in a dry and weary land where there is no water. So I've looked upon you in the sanctuary, beholding your power and glory, because your steadfast love is better than life. My lips will praise you, so I will bless you as long as I live. In your name I will lift up my hands. My soul will be satisfied as with fat and rich food, and my mouth will praise you with joyful lips. When I remember you upon my bed," that's fitting, "when I remember you upon my bed and meditate on you in the watches of the night, for you have been my help, and in the shadow of your wings I will sing for joy." In that safety, in the shadow of your wings, my soul clings to you. Your right hand upholds me. This clinging that can happen in the afterglow, this clinging in what God has ever walked you through, or the moment you're just in with him, this clinging that we're in as a married couple after sex, again, orgasm or not, but there can be this clinging, and I will rest in you, and I will know, I will be assured in you and of you, because I sat in the afterglow. I didn't rush through it. I sat and I thanked you, and I appreciated you, and I just was comforted by you and in your presence. Is incredible. And David writes that psalm in the midst of living in the wilderness. He wasn't in the palace at that time, right? He's in a sucky situation. He's running for his life, and still that kind of afterglow is possible.
Find that kind of comfort. I mean, that's what our marriages are supposed to be, that kind of that home base that we can go to. They're not the be-all, end-all. I mean, I think we put way too much pressure on that, but I think that is the safest place that we need to be.
Yep.
And it's not a perfect place, right? It's not a perfect place. It's not a perfect moment. It's not a perfect person or a perfect body or a perfect whatever. But it's good. And it's a safe place.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I would just wonder then, do I experience my sex life like this? Mm-hmm. Do I allow God into it, knowing that he owns me, knowing that he owns my wife, knowing that he owns the sex that is going to happen between us and the sexuality that exists between us? Can I rejoice no matter what's going on? Can I rejoice even if the initiation isn't accepted? Can I rejoice even if the arousal isn't what I thought it was supposed to be? Can I rejoice even if the apex didn't go where I wanted it to? Can I rejoice in the afterglow? Can I allow him into this and it change everything? The way that I understand sex.
Cool. All right. Well, the next part of this, how do we talk about sex when it doesn't go as planned? I tell you what, since it's the afternoon and everybody looks like they're kind of, you need some more chocolate. And I wish we had some caffeine to inject into you. But why don't we just take about 2 or 3 minutes?
Okay.
And everybody get up, move around, jog around the building, go to the
Jumping
bathroom.
jacks. Okay.
Huh?
Jumping jacks.
Yeah.
I'll go make sure there's coffee in there. I'll go fill that up if there's not. Is that fair? Okay.
Move some blood.
2 or 3 minutes. Don't go too far.
Yeah, don't go too far. Just,
all right.
Don't forget to put your write down your questions too. We'll be taking those up at the end of this session. So would like to hear your questions. Even if you just turn a blank card in, that'll be fine too. Just at least everybody turns something in. It's like the offering plate, you know. Everybody turns something in.